Alright, Kings fans. Wait, there are no Kings fans here? I'm the only one? Okay, whether or not you are a Kings fan, the Kings got lucky. They jumped out from the 7th projected overall pick to number 4, which is their highest since 2018, and let's not talk about what happened that day.
Bruh.
So instead of the playoffs, Kings fans are excited for the date, June 23rd, because it's the draft night. And that could change our future for maybe 20 years if we draft the right guy. For this draft, I believe there are 4 options for the Kings. One is to trade up and potentially get Jabari Smith. Hope OKC would like to trade. He's a 6'10 power forward, 220 pounds, which is not super strong, but he's an amazing shooter. He's like maybe like a Kevin Durant, even though not as quick. And Jabari Smith would look amazing besides Sabonis. He doesn't have the longest wingspan, but his athleticism and frame will help his defense. Second option is to draft either Jaden, Ivey, Shaedon Sharpe, and Keegan Murray, or whoever fell to the 4th pick, like either one of Holmgren, Smith, or Paolo Banchero. Okay, let's talk about Jaden Ivey. He's, I believe, the consensus, the best guard, the safest guard to pick out of the entire draft class. He's quick. He's like a De'Aaron Fox type of player, but I believe his 3-point shooting is better than De'Aaron Fox. He's super athletic. He's 6'4", long wingspan, agile, athleticism, everything. And I saw some highlight. He even hitting some deep shots. And during his sophomore season at Purdue, he can be a 2 guard in Sacramento. And Fox and Ivey, they will look pretty nasty. They are super fast. And Shaedon Sharpe, probably the biggest unknown or mystery of this entire draft class. He's a 6'6", explosive wing, and his wingspan is almost 7 foot long, which is amazing. He has crazy amount of talent and probably one of the highest ceilings from this draft class comparing to Holmgren or Jabari Smith. And I saw his comparison on NBA Draft Room. He's compared to Anthony Edwards and Donovan Mitchell. So he's crazy athletic, and the Kings desperately need a win right now. And they now have Fox, Mitchell, DiVincenzo, Justin Holiday. That's, yeah, getting a win such as Shaedon Sharpe could be a help. And he can have minutes because no one's really stealing his role. And he's about to turn 19, so he's like super young. He didn't play any second in college. Why he's the biggest mystery of this entire draft class. As a Kings fan, I don't want the Kings to draft another high risky player like they did with Marvin Bagley. Because I remember during the draft, they believed that Bagley has one of the highest ceilings of the class, but he has kind of also the highest bust potential. I wouldn't say Bagley is a bust, but just he didn't show anything yet due to injuries and due to Ayton and Doncic. Even Trae Young and Jaren Jackson Jr., other 2018 class people are balling right now. But Shaedon Sharpe, please, Kings, don't go. Unless they trade down and get him, but don't draft him at 4. The third person is Keegan Murray. I believe he's like according to my research, which is just few days. According to my research, he's like the older Jabari Smith. This means he has a lower ceiling, but his floor is pretty high. Because Smith is 19, but Murray is about 22, I believe. He can potentially be a good 3 and D player. He can play the 4 next to Sabonis. And Kings need shooting. I mean, it's 2022, every team needs shooting. And even though at 4, drafting someone with not super high ceiling may be weird, but he does have high floor. And Kings, I don't really like them to take risky players, as I mentioned with Shaedon Sharpe. So if they're gonna draft one of these at 4, I think I would choose Jaden Ivey. First Ivey, Murray, and then Sharpe. Okay, the third option the Kings can do is trade down. For this, they can get a decent player from those teams or later, like 7 to 10, and they can still draft Murray or AJ Griffin. The fourth and the final option is they trade the pick entirely for a star or a very impactful player right now that can literally end the playoff drought in 2023. So I actually did a poll on my YouTube community tab. and 1.5k votes. Thank you everyone for voting. It's about what should the Kings do with the 4th overall pick, and I included all my 4 options there. Almost 60% of people think the Kings should draft either Ivey, Sharp, Murray, or whoever fell out of the top 3. And the second highest is to trade a star to make a big 3 of Fox, Sabonis, and question mark guy. I'm sure 1.5k people, few of them are Kings fans, because as a Kings fan, I want to see some winning basketball. I haven't seen that in a long time. I mean, the closest was 2019 Kings. They won 39 games, and they fired Dave Yeager after that. That makes no sense. And then they hired Luke Walton. That made even no sense at all. I want the Kings to trade for a star or like the very good player. First could be Jeremy Grant. I doubt we can get their 5th pick too unless we add this someone or future picks. Because Jeremy Grant, he's 28, he's a bit older than Sabonis, but he has shown to be a good defender and to be a proven 3-point shooter from his past few seasons. His value is not super high because his contract actually ends in 2023, I believe, and he just doesn't fit the timeline of the Pistons. They have Kate Cunningham and they are hoping to draft Jaden Ivey, so that is why the 4th pick is very valuable to Pistons, because if Kings can't find any trade, they are probably gonna pick Ivey. So with Sabonis, Grant, and Fox, the Kings still need to make some trades to fill out the rest. So who will be the shooting guard? Justin Holiday is not gonna work. Maybe they can flip Barnes, because I'm sure people want Barnes. Is DiVincenzo a good starter? Or they might as well start Davion at the 2 or Fox at the 2 because he's taller. Okay, the other option the Kings could go to is Donovan Mitchell. I have no idea why this makes sense. I don't see how Mitchell and Fox will work together as the backcourt, but it's definitely an upgrade. And we need to give out a lot. Definitely not just the 4th pick. Maybe Davion Mitchell? I have no idea. Okay, but another trade could be Bradley Beal. This might be the biggest one. Bradley Beal, Fox, Sabonis. There has to be like a top 7, like 6 or 7 seed in the West. It's possible if we put a ton of players and picks. Oh, but they did get Porzingis, so I'm not sure what direction they're heading. But Beal is obviously the biggest player that will probably guarantee the Kings making the playoffs next year. And I always believe Monty McNair, the GM of the Kings. Okay, and finally will be Christian Wood. He's 26 and he doesn't really fit the timeline of the Rockets right now. And the Rockets do have the 3rd pick, so I'm not sure if Kings can somehow snag Wood and then the 3rd pick. That would be kind of crazy. Imagine we get Wood and Banchero. Oh yeah, because Wood is a 2023 free agent. That's why his value will be less than how good he is at basketball. Before this video ends, I want to say something about Bleacher Report. There has been a Bleacher Report potential trade. The Kings received the 6th pick and O'Shea Brissett from the Pacers after giving up the 4th pick. This doesn't make any sense. No offense, Brissett is a pretty good basketball player. He won't be a starter in Sacramento. He won't be a starter in pretty much anywhere besides Indiana. Brissett is not enough to move out 2 spots. Alright, I think that's it for the video. Hopefully the Kings make the playoffs next year, and I can't wait for the date, June 23rd, the NBA draft. The GM is not Vlade Divac anymore, so no more Marvin Bagley crap. This new GM, Monty McNair, has been pretty good at drafting for 2 years so far. He drafted Halliburton with the 12th pick and Davion Mitchell with the 9th pick last year. Sadly, he didn't make All Rookies team, even though he did pretty good at the end of the season when Fox injured his arm. Finally, I just want to mention that Davion is definitely not safe. We saw what happened to Halliburton. I don't hate the trade, because even though people say it's a shortcut to the playoffs, but that's what the Kings need. They need some winning culture. They haven't experienced a winning culture in 16 years. They need to bring that winning culture back, no matter how much shortcut they take. And that's it for the video. Let's go Kings.